Hi everyone, I'm Paulette Morrissey from Tulip Square, and this week I'm going to show you how to put together our brand new pattern that is for the new larger smartphones. We've had a pattern for a long time that would make a case for smaller phones, but I think I made it back when iPhone 4 was popular, so they're pretty small. This one will hold the iPhone 13s, the 14s, the big Galaxies, all of those. The inside pocket is about 5 inches wide on the inside of it, and about a little over 7, maybe 7.5 inches long. So it'll hold all of the new larger phones. If you watch to the end of the video, there will be a link for you to download the pattern, and we appreciate that you watch the whole video so that it helps our YouTube numbers go up. So we appreciate that a lot. We're going to head over to the sewing machine and let's get started on this thing. So to start with, you're going to take your 3 pieces, and I'm going to use this for the outside of my tote bag. I'm going to use this lighter fabric for the lining, and then I've got a layer of cotton batting inside. And what I'm going to do is just do some real simple straight line quilting on it, just to give it a little bit of quilted texture. You can do some free motion, meandering. You can just do a grid line, whatever, just something to kind of hold the pieces together. So I'm going to go ahead and do some quick quilting, and then we'll get started on putting it together. Okay, now that I've got it all quilted, once you get it quilted, you go and cut your pieces. So I'm going to go cut the 3 pieces out, and I'll be right back. Okay, we've got 3 pieces now. The largest piece is our main tote piece. Second piece is our outer pockets, and the third piece, which is a little narrower, is our pocket flaps. And so we're going to start by taking the 2 bigger pieces, and we're going to sew binding on the top and bottom edge of each one, so on the short ends of each one. And you can either cut your binding 6 inches wide for each one, or you can just sew them all like connected together. So I'm just going to sew them all connected and cut them apart later. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch seam. I'm just going to stick the next piece right in here to do chain stitching. Now you turn the binding to the opposite side, like so. I'm just going to stitch real close to this folded down edge. For now, they both got binding on both ends. Now the next one we're going to do is this piece that's going to be the flap. For this one, you're going to need a piece about 30 inches long, and I'm going to start it. I'm going to put it way up here, so I've got plenty of room to play with where I connect it. And I'm going to start sewing way about down here, so I've got this much that I can play with for connecting the 2 ends. And I'm going to sew all the way around, 1/4 inch seams. And I'm going to sew this the same way I sew any kind of binding on. Stop about 1/4 inch from the end. Take it out from under the sewing machine. And then I like to take the binding and fold it so it's parallel with the next line I'm going to be sewing on. And I'm going to make sure I got a nice straight fold there, and I'm going to lay a ruler right along this top edge that I just sewed along. And then I'm going to fold this down so it's even with this line that I'm going to sew next. Make sure it's nice and parallel, and then I'm going to pull the ruler out, and I'm going to sew my next row, the next edge. Ruler parallel to the line, the edge I just sewed along. and then fold this down so it's parallel to the next edge. Pull the ruler out and sew that line. So I'm going to do that all the way around. And when I get to this last corner, I'm going to sew it down the same as before, but I'm only going to make a very short seam here. Okay, now I've got this big gap here where I can sew the two ends together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a piece off the end of this binding, just an extra piece, and I'm going to lay it about in the middle of this opening, with the fold going this way, the fold in the binding, not with the edge, but this way. And it's about in the middle. And then I'm going to take where I started from my beginning edge, and I'm going to lay it down on top of that, and I'm going to cut it off right here on this side of this little scrap I put there. Nice straight cut. I want it even with that piece. And then I'm going to take this second half and I'm going to fold it over, and I'm going to cut it off even with this half of that piece I just put down. Make sure you only cut through this layer, not the one underneath it. So now I've got both of those here. So what they basically are doing is they're overlapping the width of the binding, and that's what you need them to do. So next, I'm going to cut this annoying piece of thread off, and then I'm going to open both of these edges up. And this is easiest if I just fold this piece in half, and I'm going to sew these two together diagonally, right across from here to here. Now to do that, because this is kind of tight quarters, I like to just get the first edge where I want it, and get that edge under the sewing machine where I want it, and catch it. And you could pin this also if it's easier. I'm just going to do a couple of stitches right here. Then I can kind of rearrange the rest of it. Make it cooperate a little bit better. I'm following this black line on my sewing machine. Now, once you take that out, if you pull it like this and you lay it down, you can see if it's a good fit there or not. That looks like it's going to fit fine. So I'm going to just pull this up, double check, and I'm going to cut off this excess corner. I'm just going to finger press it flat. And now I'm just going to lay this down and finish this seam. Now we turn this to the other side and stitch it down just like we did with the end pieces. And when I get to a corner, let me show you if I can get in here a little better and show you the corner. I stick my thumb from underneath and push up so that whole little corner gets turned right side out. And then I take the next edge, not the one I'm working on, but the next edge, fold it up, and then if you tuck your thumb, poke your finger right in this corner, you'll get a nice mitered corner. Can you see that? A nice mitered corner. And if it's not mitered well, like if it kind of looks sloppy like this, then you need to fold it under a little bit more. And if it's folded under too far, it will come out folded up there. So you just have to play with it a little bit so that when you tuck it, you get a nice mitered corner. And then when you sew right to that point. And then turn. Then I'm going to tuck the next corner up before I get to it. We're going to do the same thing on all the corners all the way around. Okay, so next you're going to take the largest piece and the flat piece. And you want to put you probably want to about fold it in half, not exact, but somewhere around there. And you're going to put half of it like so. And I think I'll pin this just so it doesn't move around on me. I want it to be even on both sides. Now make sure you've got it spaced so that you've got an equal amount of your excess on both sides here. You want a little more than 1/4 of an inch on each side, okay? And then you're going to stitch down right on the edge of this binding and then right about past it. So 2 rows of stitching right here. What you've got is this. This is going to be the tote bag. And it's going to be like this. Right, like so. And that will be the pocket flap that comes over the top. And now we're going to put pockets in place. I'm going to put one right here, and I'm going to lower that one a little bit like so. And then I'm going to bring it around to the back. So the back one is like so. A little bit different. You don't want them to end up so they're right on top of each other in the seam, because that'll make the seam, like you don't want them right there. That's too much bulk in the seam. Okay, so now you've got all this. What you're going to do, and you can pin this together, clip it together, whatever you want. You just want to make sure that all your pieces stay nice and uniform. Now to start this, you're going to take your longer strip of binding, and I'm going to leave about maybe 3/4 of an inch hanging off here. Although wait, we don't want the selvage, that's too thick. Get rid of the selvage. And then I'll just leave about 3/4 of an inch hanging loose, okay? And then I'm going to sew through all these layers. Now when you sew through this many layers, take your time. Make sure you don't catch your flap. Your flap should be far enough away that if you're doing a 1/4 inch seam, your flap will not get caught in here. So be careful of that. Kind of push it out of your way if you need to, and push it back for the next side. I'm going to stitch down here now, and go slow because it's a lot of layers, and you might want to put in a larger size needle. I put in like a size 14, which is more like for sewing denim and things like that, just because it's a lot of layers. When I come to the top here, I'm going to take that off. Now, when you do this next part, you've got to be careful not to twist your binding. So make sure that your binding comes straight up, like so. So this is the top folded edge coming off from this folded edge. Okay, I'm going to shorten it up a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. But it's the straight top edge coming straight up. And then you bring this all the way down to the other end. Leave a little, 3/4 of an inch or so. And this one, you can either start sewing from here, or you can start sewing from here, whichever way is easier for you. If you had an issue. So now you've got this. You've got your both halves on like this, and you've got your whole strap on. So what you're going to do is turn this over, and where you've got your first edge like this, take this edge here and tuck it up more than if you would just tuck it even across. You're going to tuck it a little bit exaggerated, and then fold it up here, and then bring this corner down. So you've got a nice sealed edge. And then you're going to start stitching your binding on. This too has to be slow and careful because it's thick. I would suggest you're using thread the same color as your binding, because it's going to be part of your strap in a minute. Now when you get up to this point here, you're going to take your binding and you're going to fold the raw edge up just like about 1/3 of the width of it, and then you're going to fold the folded edge down, and you're going to sew along that folded edge all the way around the length of the binding, which becomes. Now when you get close to your other end of your tote, you just will continue going. You'll get close here, keep sewing that strap. When you get close, you're just going to fold it up and go a little closer. A little bit of a jog. Then continue sewing your binding on. Before I get too close to the end, I'm going to fold this end up a little bit. I'm going to fold this up all the way, and I'm going to tuck that inside. We have no raw exposed edges. And I'm going to back tack. So you're going to put a little closure on here, and it's all set. Hope that was easy enough for you, and don't be intimidated by it. It's an easy project and it's fun to do. Okay, so now you know everything there is to know about making a larger case for your phone. It's got lots of pockets. It's got a front pocket here. It's got your largest pocket here that's 7.5 by 7.5 inches long by a little over 5 inches wide. It's got a smaller little pocket right here, and then it's got a big pocket on the back, which is also big enough to hold a phone. And you've got a flap that you can either put a snap or a button on if you want to. You can also just tuck it into your front pocket if you prefer. It will fit in there. Doing it backwards here, but it will fit in your pocket. And also I wanted to mention that if you're taking these to fairs and selling them, we used to take a similar phone case to fairs, and we found that the crossbody straps were the most popular. When we ran out of crossbody straps, the shorter straps like this was for a shoulder strap, and little ones that we had that were just a wristless, those didn't sell. It was the crossbodies everybody wanted. So just a little thing you might want to know. And the video for this should be showing up right. No, this is the video. The pattern should be showing up. A link for the pattern should be somewhere right up here for you to download it right now. And please hit the like button. Hit the notify bell if you'd like to be notified every week. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. And we will see you next week with a brand new video. Have a good week. Bye-bye.